So this is the closing video on our discussion on the data selection portion of SQL in MS Access, and I have specifically put out all the statements that we learned in our previous 10 to 15 sessions. And what I wanted to highlight in this video is that we know what these individual clauses do. What does the select clause, from, where, group by, having, an order by clause does. But what we do not know is what would happen if we change the order in which we write these statements. So the first thing to understand while using all of these statements in SQL is that they have to appear in exactly the same sequence in which I have written them over here. So changing the position of at least even one of them, say I were to write this over here, would create havoc, and the whole query would not run, because SQL is not built to understand if you were to misplace or miswrite any of these statements here and there. So the 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 from clause can appear only after the select clause, and the where clause needs to appear after from and before group by, and group by needs to appear after where but before having, and the same goes on for other clauses also. So let's try to understand what this query result would eventually turn out to be. So this query is trying to select the designation variable and is trying to count the number of rows which have a distinct designation, because I'm grouping them by designation over here. But before that, it needs to select only those values from the original table, this table, which have a salary of greater than 93,000. But I also need to make sure that on the group by data set that I will receive eventually, I need to have only those rows from that group data which where the count of designation was greater than 1. But I also want the results to be ordered by designation, and that too in a descending order. Now I know it's a lot to digest, but we are going to look at the steps individually one by one and see what impact do they have on our query. So beginning with, the first thing that is going to be executed is the from clause. So it tells that I need to select all of this data from the data set paycheck. So it's going to go into to this data set as the way it is, and then it is going to subset all of the rows where salary is greater than 93,000. That is, it is going to deselect all the rows where salary is less than 93,000. So this statement is really out, and literally this is the only statement that is not going to make it to our eventual runs. So then it is going to group the whole data by the designations and select only the designation and the count of rows which are in this group by designations. So it is going to end up creating up a map of something like this. It's going to group them by these individual designations. It's going to group them by analyst. It's going to group them by manager minus the row for Rachel Shaw. So there are only 3 managers left. So the next one is senior analyst, and next one is team lead. And then it is going to make sure that only those rows in this grouped by dataset comes up, which have the count of the number of individual holding those positions as greater than 1. And when it does that, I want to order my results by designation in a descending order. So let's run this query. Hope it turns out to be right. So in fact, it is right. So you're going to see no, since we had just one team lead, it does not appear in our eventual result. We excluded Rachel Shaw, which was the manager. So the number of managerial counts has decreased from 4 to 3. We wanted our eventual results to be sorted by designation, and that is the case. It is. It has been sorted in a descending order, which is good. That's the reason we have a senior analyst at the top, then the manager, and then the analyst. So the whole juggle of using multiple SQL statements in SQL environment could be confusing in the beginning, but just stick to the rule that these statements need to appear in this sequence only, and use them according to your requirement whenever you face up a problem. So this was all about the data selection portion of MS Access SQL. Thank you for watching.